So this is what we're sketching today. We're going to be using just a water brush, a couple of colours from my palette here, and one Unipin fineliner. And we're working on things like hatching, making interesting decisions about colours, and simplifying things to create something artistic that captures the feeling in this case of a really hot summer. So let's get sketching. So we're going to just start sketching. Going to be using a 0.3mm fineliner and just getting really nice loose wibbly wobbly lines and see where we get to before adding a glaze of colours, pulling out these sort of orangey warm tones. So start on the left of the image and get these roof lines in, and today what I'm going to do, just as a little experiment, is just come across and grab the whole roof line, kind of like drawing a silhouette. Just grab that, well, yeah, the silhouette, I suppose. I said it already. Grab that silhouette as we move all the way across, and then we can work out from there how much extra information we really need or want to add to resolve the rest of the image. And it's amazing actually often how just these tiny bits of information, these just simple silhouettes, can tell you everything about a scene, a little villagey feel with a church and a tree. It's all there already. So how much more do we really need? Well, let's just play with a few lines and just keep everything below the silhouette really loose. Just building on the silhouette, but not going mad, not adding too much information. We can get this fence in, it's definitely showing the viewpoint, isn't it? And then these lovely shrubs and greenery. And I love these seats. So we're going to get these seats in as simple shapes. So just little squares and squares, square and a square, maybe a line to show an armrest. And then some of them on their sides, they're just lines with little lines underneath. We can even add a couple of our own chairs which aren't there before joining up our silhouette with this tree. And even, why not get this tree trunk in? Just gives us a bit of concept of perspective in there. And we can mark out the edge of that shadow and drawing that into our chairs. Above here, let's just get some loose shapes of these windows. And if you know me, you'll know I love joining things up, and so these nice little textural lines going on under there. We get the bottom of that roof line in. There's another lovely tree here. We've basically, in just a few minutes really, 2 minutes, got this pretty interesting sketch already. Anything else we could add? Well, let's just get a tiny bit more information in this church. But then I think in terms of information shapes on the page, that's enough. What else can we do with the pen though to take it to another level? Well, let's think about just getting some hatching. So just some simple vertical hatching can suddenly separate out some of the faces of these houses and suggest a real strong light in other places. And I'm a little bit inventing the shadow here, a little bit inventing the light. You can see there are shadows under the edges of these roof lines. But what I'm doing is going, well, in here I'm actually completely moving the shadow to the wrong side. But I'm just saying, you know what, I want to take these faces and I want to really like emphasize light and dark and exaggerate that. And I've done a couple of videos on just how great simple hatching like this can be. Just hatching one plane can really just simplify, but also create quite a dramatic planar shift across your image. You can do the same on your chimneys, giving the chimneys a shadow, a shadowed side and a shadow. And we can even do the same in areas of shadow on the ground. So we've got these kind of shadow we marked out earlier. And we can do the same in this tree. And if you leave an area of light around, it shows that we're looking at two different surfaces. So you could do the same here, same here, same here. And perhaps let's just leave this one blank because it's so sort of framing the image. It can be where the colour stops. Is there anything else we can add in the foreground? Well, let's just add a little bit of texture. These lovely sort of bunches of grass. There's a couple of little trees, tiny little trees, and they've got those classic tree protectors around them, I think. I'm going to make this one more of a cylinder, less of a stick, just to make it more obvious what's going on. And then I guess the other thing we haven't done, we've done the silhouette of this fence, but why not just resolve that fence a bit more? There we go. So in now about, what, 5 minutes, we've got a really interesting sketch, loads of tone, loads of texture. And, you know, we could actually be happy and leave it there. But since we've got the watercolours out, let's experiment, let's have fun. And I did say there's lots of these lovely warm colours, aren't there? So let's try getting some of those warm colours in. I got a bit of just general muck on my brush first, and because I'm using a water brush, one of the most effective ways of getting rid of that is on the page. So I'm just going to use this sort of mucky stuff and then liven it up. So a green and a red, by the way, makes a nice relatively neutral colour. So we can get this sort of greeny red shadow just to bring out all those areas where we've implied or invented a bit of shadow. And we can leave those lovely areas of white nice and crisp for now. And now we should have a cleanish brush, which means we can start picking up some bright colours. So if I just get a nice bit of yellow here, again I can just drop it on and we can start just bringing that across. I want this to be really quite subtle, this yellow, and the reason for that will hopefully become clear soon. And I also want some nice texture from it, so just almost dry brushing going across gets that feel of things just really, well, dried out. Definitely been a hot summer, so that's the feel we're going for. Now I can use some, oh, this is actually Lunar Earth I'm using, but you could use any brown, like a burnt sienna or even burnt umber, just to pull out a bit more texture and make these little poofs of grass stand out in a different way. And then the reason I wanted it to be quite subtle is because I love these, as I said before, I love these yellow chairs. So what I'd love to do is get a really strong punch of yellow on each of these chairs. And we may even have to wait for that to dry and hit another punch of yellow to really get the full effect. Now what else can we do to just really lift this image in an interesting way without taking away from other things? Well, I'm really tempted to try a fake sky, not real sky. So let's actually use this yellow. Let's get a yellow murky, that really like sun-baked sky. And what we'll do, we'll use that yellow and we'll just pop it around and just keep it neat, keep these edges crisp and clear. Then we've almost got this sort of murky shadow everywhere, sun-baked sky, these bright yellow seats. It's just a fun way of sketching, of taking colours which are sort of there, but really just running with it and making it a piece of art rather than a piece of art with lots of decisions and lots of fun you've had along the way, rather than just any old piece of art from a photo. If we wanted, you could drop little bits of red in or splash them in. Oh, my pen's not quite allowing me to do that. Little dots. I don't want to go too much because I quite like this fairly flat sky. And then if we just re-emphasize these chairs a little bit and a little bit more texture down here. Anything else we could do? Well, let's go back to this sort of mucky reddy green, and what we can hopefully achieve with that is a bit more colour and depth in these windows. Just tiny bit of extra sort of yeah, points of interest, I guess. Just pulling out things. We took the effort to sketch them, so why not just pull them out a little bit from the surroundings. Just slightly. And there we go. So that is a really quick, very different urban sketch. We've used just a couple of colours. We've used a mucky brush, a mix of red and green to create some shadows, and then yellows and reds to create this feeling of a really hot summery scene. Hope you've enjoyed that. If you do, please do like and subscribe and let me know in the comments. And feel free to share on Instagram, tag me anything you'd like me to have a look at. And thank you very much for watching.